Jesus said, now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. And if God is glorified in him, God will glorify the Son in himself, and will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and just as I told the Jews, I tell you now, where I am going, no one can come. But a new command I give to you. Love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this all men will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. The word from the Lord in the house. A sheep came down with all sorts of critters on it. And Peter was a good Jew. He said, nothing evil or nothing dirty has ever entered my mouth. I've never eaten anything I shouldn't, and I've always washed everything the way it should be washed. I followed all of the rules. So I don't want to have to eat anything that is unclean. And God said, what I make is not unclean. We want to attach so many meanings and little interpretations to things. It's what got us into trouble, and it's what got the Methodist Church in trouble now, is because we can't all agree on what is or isn't the right thing to do. When what he says to us, the right thing to do is to love one another. But we got to do it by the book. But God said to Peter, don't worry about the book you've had, because what I put together, what I create, is always clean. What I make is wonderful. What you do with it isn't always so wonderful. And we do things. We make things happen that shouldn't happen, and we get all riled up about certain causes, and we want to beat each other to death with politics and with insignificant differences in religions. Paul wrote a letter to the church that said, don't let one man's Sabbath cause another man pain. Now, we were taught by the Ten Commandments that remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. And then Paul comes along and says, well, if you got a different Sabbath than I do, that's okay. The important thing is not which day you celebrate the Sabbath. The important thing is that with your heart, you do have a Sabbath. It's not important who you associate with as it is as important as who you love. Makes it pretty simple. If you love one another as I've loved you, he said, that's your commandment. That's what you're expected to do. And we do a great job of it here on Sunday mornings, and I think we probably do a pretty good job of it most of the week. But every once in a while, somebody is just so obnoxious. And it's all right to dislike them. You gotta love them. You see the pictures of the wall Martians on Facebook? You gotta love them. I played golf the other day with a guy who was so slow. So slow. You gotta love him. And that's a struggle. When Nancy and I used to play golf together, we would go out in the summer, and we figured 2 hours and 10 minutes from home to home, 18 holes. And she didn't give any putts, period. You made them all. So when somebody's playing even a little bit slow, I notice it. And I'm thinking in my mind, you gotta speed up, and in my heart I'm trying to say, but I love you anyway. There's the old story the doctor, gotta get these right, and the minister who were playing golf, and there was a foursome ahead of them that was really, really slow. And so they called the marshal over and said, these guys are slow, get them out of the way. And he said, these are the firefighters who were blinded when they were saving the people when our clubhouse burned down. And the minister said, I'll pray for them. The doctor said, maybe I can do surgery on their eyes. And the lawyer said, why don't you get them at 12 o'clock at night, tea time? You gotta love them. Oh, there are so many things, and there's so much crap on social media, but some of it's pretty funny. And now we're hooked on tiny beans. If you have, like we do, a first grand, some of you can't do it because you've got so many grandbabies you can't count them anymore. But we only got one, so we can do this. But each day, Mama posts a picture or two or three. And they're not on social media, they're only on Tiny Beans. And she puts us on. We can't get on. Nobody can get on it. She does it for us. So every day I get a dose of the great grandson. And in another few weeks, we'll get to see him. He'll have personality by then. He'll be demonstrating amazing genius by then. Sure. You gotta love him. And the picture of Peter's vision of this great sheet coming down with all sorts of things like seafood, which they don't eat, and other kinds of animals that they don't eat. And he said, I can't eat anything that's not clean. And God reminded him, do I ever make anything unclean? Who made the rule that said their food in some ways was unclean? Well, supposedly Moses did, but it was what he passed on. Now, he brought down 2 tablets with 10 commandments on them, and immediately the lawyers made 700 pages of rules. And they made things unclean. And some of the stuff that they ruled on was good business, was good ideas. For example, they never put meat on a plate that had dairy on it, because dairy is a good carrier of salmonella. So if you never put meat on it, you'll never have tainted meat. And if you've ever been in a kosher kitchen, there are the dairy plates and the meat plates, and they don't ever change. One time a good friend of mine and I used a kosher apartment as a getaway, and we took paper plates because we didn't know what you had to do. He said, I don't do anything that's unclean, God. And God said, what did I ever make that wasn't made unclean by man? You see, God is in us, we are in God because Christ came to love us. The only reason he came was to love us. To love us enough to give us eternal life. To love us enough to tell us that we'll never be unclean in his eyes. Because he loves us. And what we do is we distort those kinds of things. We distort the love. And we say, well, if you don't worship on Saturday, then it's not the Sabbath. But we don't know what day of the week God started creating. He may have been a Wednesday worker. We don't know. The fact that there wasn't a calendar then makes it hard to tell when he started. But we have authorities who can look in the book and tell you all sorts of things that absolutely are true. And as far as I know, the only absolute truth in that book is that unless you are willing to love as Jesus loved, you're not one of his disciples. Unless you're willing to be the kind of servant that Jesus was to his disciples, you're not what he wants you to be. Now, you can read all of those 900 English language publications of the New Testament, and you'll find that word in every one of them. Maybe phrased differently, maybe written differently, may use a different language of some kind. But the only truth in the Bible is love. Everything else man has had his hand in. Everything else man has tried to demonstrate and to elucidate and to lecture and to teach their own beliefs. But Jesus said, unless you love as I have loved, you're not my disciples. Peter said, I never broke the law. And God said, the law doesn't exist anymore unless it's the law of love. In Revelation it says, he said, it is finished. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, which means God will be with us as long as God wants there to be. I don't believe that he created us in 6 days or 7 and rested at 7. I think it probably took him a long, long time to create, and I'm not sure. We give him credit in the Bible for being done, but I'm not sure he's through yet. Every once in a while we get a new island. Every once in a while an eruption will come up and something in the world changes. And these are forces that God put into place with his creation. If the percentages of the gases in the air were changed by less than 1.5%, we would drop dead. Everything that has been created to create a place for man to be so that man could love one another. You realize how easy it would be for God to get rid of us? Just one little change in his creation. But I don't see it happening. You have but one commandment: to love one another as I have loved you. To enjoy the creation that you've been given. To love the people around you. Yeah, you can dislike them a little, that's okay. If they don't hurry up on the golf course, you don't want to hit into them, though. That's not good. Back in Baraboo, I was playing with a good friend of mine, and we were following the judge, retired, who was really slow. And my friend hit a ball that went past the judge. And the judge looked back and kept on playing. About 3 holes later, he did it again, and the judge drove up in his cart beside the ball, reached down, picked it up, and put it in his pocket, and drove on. But there's a rule in golf that says no ball is truly lost until it stops rolling. Then you can find it. And there's no such thing in golf as a lost ball. It's just been misplaced, and someone will find it and pick it up, and it's not theirs, but they will keep it, which makes it a stolen ball. And anybody who takes a penalty on their score for someone stealing their golf ball should be banned from the course. You like my rules? That's the trouble. We don't want to live by the rule book. We have a Bible up here that's several pounds. You ought to try coming up and holding it up and read. It doesn't need to be that long. The rule book in golf is only about that thick. But there's only one rule that counts.